Like, they don't understand accuracy.
Come on.
Especially with iron sights. You know, he didn't even have a scope on the rifle.
So
iron. Do you know what iron sights
no.
are? Okay. So, like, say if you have a pistol.
Yeah.
At the back of the pistol, where the handle is.
Yeah.
There's these.
Oh, the little thing that you're supposed to look through. Yeah.
And then there's a little post at the front, and you line the two of them up like that.
Yeah.
And he's shooting 140 yards with iron sights.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just nick someone's ear.
Yeah.
You'll hit their fucking head. You'll blow their brains out accidentally.
How much do you have to account for gravity at that distance?
You don't.
Okay.
That's really short. That's a short distance. That's why you can, like, put the post on it. If you wanted to go long distance, then you would want a scope. You want a high-powered scope, and you would also use ballistic software. Ballistic software is like you would apply, like there's like a watch that has it built in, actually. The Garmin Tactics X. Okay. Tactics 8, rather.
Shout out Garmin.
So you would take this ballistic software, you calculate the distance. So you would use a rangefinder, which he had, by the way. He had a fucking he was walking around with a rangefinder before they saw him with a rangefinder. They didn't even arrest him. Somebody let him on that roof. They fucking gave him that gun. That's what I think. The rangefinder would say, 500 yards. Yeah. So then you would set your sight for 500 yards.
And then it adjusts accordingly when you're looking. Yeah.
So your application with some scopes, you can actually sync up your scope with your app. So it'll put the reticle, it'll put the crosshairs exactly where you need to aim.
For the bullet to drop.
Exactly.
Exactly. That makes sense.
So the reticle, the X would move up and down.
Accordingly, yeah.
Exactly.
But at that distance, you're saying that there isn't too much.
No, there's no. And he's also elevated. It's a straight shot. It's a pretty, I mean, maybe a very slight drop because it's only like a millisecond before it hits him. It's a very slight drop at that. But when you get to, like, significant distances, like 400 yards, 500 yards, it's a factor.
Yeah.
Like, you hold high. Like, say if you have...
What does that mean, hold high?
So if you're zeroed, say if I'm shooting a deer and my rifle's zeroed at 100 yards, that means at 100 yards, it shoots exactly where that crosshairs is. But the deer is 300 yards, I'll hold it at the top of his back.
Because you know it's going to come down.
I know it's going to drop.
This is with bows, or this is with
No, this is with a rifle.
And then with bows, I imagine it's even more.
With bows, you have to be very, very sure because there's so much drop. There's so much drop. Yeah, there's so much drop. Like, I have a rangefinder that's not just a rangefinder. It's called a full draw. It's a Leupold Full Draw 5. And what it does is it doesn't just put the reticle and tell me the exact distance. It says I'm not aiming with this. This is just giving me the distance. But it also shows me a line where the peak of the arrow height is because the arrow arcs, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm shooting through trees sometimes. Like, I'm trying to shoot an animal, and I'm shooting through a gap in the trees.
So you have to make sure that on the drop, it passes through that gap in the tree.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's a video of me hunting with Cam. We were hunting in Utah.
Okay.
And it was for Under Armour, back when he was with Under Armour.
Yeah.
And I had to shoot this elk through trees. I shot it through, like, it's a video. You can see the arrow go right through this. It's probably one of the most beautiful shots I've ever made.
Yeah.
And I made it on camera because I was kind of freaking out. I got to have a hunt on camera.
Yeah.
Like, hunting is a big thing for a celebrity to be doing. You're hunting, but you're also going to hunt on camera, and you're going to hunt on camera with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So I was, like, super locked in.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. It was just magical how that arrow went right through this gap.
Yeah.
Just thread the needle and whop, right in the heart. It was perfect. It was a perfect shot.
Yeah.
Like, exactly where you want. Right behind the shoulder, right up here. It was like double lungs in the top of the heart. Ooh.
Fuck.
Ooh. Ooh.
And then you got to carry that bitch.
Yeah, well, you got to chop it up first. You're not carrying it.
That's the thing. That's the thing that, like, I never accounted for. I was watching, I don't know if it was some video you posted or maybe it was Cam, but, like, I always thought about the hunting part. Like, okay, let's find it, let's track it, let's shoot it. But I never thought about getting home with all the meat.
Oh, yeah, man.
That seems so...
It's very hard.
Brutal.
And what we do is way easier than what some guys do. Some guys do public land, solo, backpack, elk hunting.
So they're throwing the shit in the backpack.
They have a pack, so they'll take like a pack, like Great pack is like Exo Mountain Gear's a great company that makes packs, and they have different frames based on your height. It's all made so you can carry a lot of weight on your body. A lot of it sits on your hips, and it's all like
it displaces
engineered.
the weight, so you're not just getting dragged down.
And if you pull up like Exo Mountain Gear backpacks, like they have specific packs that are designed so you can carry 100 pounds on your back,
right?
Like as comfortably as you can. But it's fucking brutal. So these guys might hike in. I'm not no bullshit.
Miles, right?
So that's what it looks like. So see all these packs. So get the picture of those guys when they have it on their back, Jamie. The one above that. Yeah, that one right there. So that's what it would look like for two dudes who are carrying their whole camp on their back. So they probably have their tent in there. They have their sleeping bag in there. They have food in there for a week. Like you got freeze-dried food, generally speaking. Guys bring like there's a bunch of different meals like Mountain Ops, or not Mountain Ops. So like there's a bunch of different companies. So like this is a guy like carrying an elk quarter on his back. That motherfucker probably has 100 pounds on his back right now because he has his bag and his pack, which is probably 50 pounds, and then he has a giant ass elk leg on his back.
All right, so is there ever like a distance that they deem too far because walking back with the elk, it wouldn't be worth it? So, like, I imagine you're tracking for a while. It's not like you just walk in and there are all the elks, right? You have to find them.
Yeah, well, you can get lucky and find them a couple of miles in, and that's pretty nice.
But is there a point where you go, I'm not going more than 5 because 5 back carrying the elk would be too difficult?
Yeah, some guys do that, but some guys are hard fucking core. But like, they'll kill an elk 25 miles in and spend 3 days bringing it back.
So, and now you have elk carcass. Mm-hmm. You have all the other animals that also
you gotta
like
string
to
it up
dine
in a tree.
on elk.
You string it up in a tree.
Got it. So getting it, it's like, oh, what is that? Old Man in the Sea? Is that the book? Where like he finally hunts and gets this big fish, but he's got to bring it back. And by the time he brings it back, it's just like a skeleton. Nobody believes he got this amazing big fish. But like, I can't, like, you don't ever think about the journey back.
Yeah,
that seems almost more stressful.
Well, the best way to do it, the backcountry, if you have the money, is horses. They have horses take you back there, and the horses will pack, or mules.
Yeah, so you can pack them up with.
They'll keep your camp on their back.
Yeah,
right, and you'll have like several, like a train of them.
Yeah,
and then you could load them up with like elk quarters and take them back. And for them, it ain't shit.
It's thousands of pounds, right? Like,
well, it's not really.
How much is an elk?
It's about 400 pounds of meat.
Oh, because you're leaving the bones and everything.
You're leaving
so you skin it, you cut it up, and then
yeah.
But you got to take some of the bones. Like you want a rib, right? Like there's if
you could have the ribs.
Things,
most guys cut the rib meat out of the ribs, and you grind it, make hamburger or chili out of it or things like that.
Yeah.